welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Schif Musara.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about football. Yeah, man. The boys are back in town, and we are back to talking about the sport that we love, football, American football. Welcome in, Schif. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to go through all 32 of my draft grades. I don't know if you know this, but I've already published my 2026 mock draft.
1.0.
Yeah.
0.5.
I immediately thought of you on, what was it, Sunday morning? The draft was over on Saturday. And the first thing I saw when I woke up on Sunday was a mock draft for 2026. I was like, oh my God. I was like, Jonathan would absolutely like to assassinate whoever this journalist is.
Yes, I would lose my mind if I saw that shit. Man, I'm laid up, bro. I had surgery on Friday. So I got
for real?
I'm sitting kind of lax. I got my leg up on another chair because I had a little scope stuff that went in, scraping some floating bone in my knee. They said I have the knee of a 75-year-old. So that's good.
Floating bone.
Yes. They went in and took out the scraps of bone that were floating in there that were making it uncomfortable to walk. And now I'm uncomfortable when I walk. So there's that.
Damn.
They were like, you're going to need a knee replacement, but we'd rather not do that right now because you're so young. And I was like, I kind of want it soon. So he said he's going to check back in and see how I'm doing in a couple months. I might end up getting a knee replacement too.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had arthritis. I knew I had arthritis in my knees when I got out of the military.
Right.
So it's just rapidly deteriorating, I guess. So there's that. Got that going for me. Yeah. So hopefully it feels better soon. I guess I've been taking anti-inflammatory. I've been scared to take anything. So there's one thing they gave me that starts with oxy. I was like, oh, nah.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't take it. I was just sitting in my cabinet, man. I'm like, nah, no good. No thanks.
Your DM's about to blow up.
I'll take that off your hands.
What you mean it's sitting in your cabinet?
You can't just have it sit in your cabinet. That's in your cabinet?
Either that or you're about to get robbed.
What's your address? No, I also I had a thing I want to talk to you before we talk football.
Okay.
That used to be our calling card is we're talking football, but we're also some friends that just talk shit sometimes.
Sure.
So this is one of the most shit-talky topics that kind of will fit into the demographic of people that like football. It's going to be right in there, man. It's got a little touch of toxic masculinity. It's going to be involving definite CTE at some point. And it's going to involve aggression and fighting. And animals, it's like everything you will want in this type of demographic. So it just seemed like a perfect conversation.
I'm here for it.
It's a viral discussion that went around on Twitter, or X that they call it now. But a viral discussion that went around on Twitter where they were saying they were wondering.
Yes.
And I'm posing the question to you, Schif. Who wins the fight between 100 adult men of different sizes and abilities and strength versus one silverback gorilla?
You know, it's so fun. When you mentioned off mic that you were going to bring up this viral thing, and I just immediately assumed, well, I clearly haven't heard it, so this will be fun. Ironically, my 18-year-old son asked me this question yesterday.
Oh, it's even better that you had the time to think about it. It's even better, I think, that you had, because I figured you didn't see it on social media. You're not big on social media. But I'm glad that ASEC brought it up.
And I'll tell you what happened. My immediate reaction, my gut reaction was like, well, 100 men would definitely win. They would win this, 100%. And he was like, really? How come? And I said, well, if you start to surround the gorilla, right? If they coordinate and they talk to each other, I was like, yeah, there's going to be that one idiot who's going to try to step forward and be like, yeah, bro, I'll grab his arm. You grab his other arm. That guy's the first to go, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's going to be a bunch of those. But
there's going to be that one smart guy who's going to be like, okay, we gotta surround him, come at him from every angle, and we all attack at the same time.
Okay.
And then my daughter overheard. Saga was like, "Yeah, but when have you ever seen 100 men who could like coordinate and do anything at the same time?"
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
I genuinely thought about that for a second, and I was like, "You know what? I changed my mind. The gorilla wins. We're fucked. The men are fucked."
I'm Team Gorilla myself, man.
I'm Team Gorilla also. I think. And then I kept thinking about it as the night went on. We as human men at this point in our evolution, we're just too fucking soft to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, and also like the only thing that makes us special as a species is really, besides our ability to like think, is our ability to like create weapons. Like if you put us into like cage match, nobody leaves alive, 100 guys, one gorilla, that gorilla is going to kill all 100 of those guys.
Yeah, man.
You smoke crack, don't you?
That's what I think. I mean, your only hope is that you would somehow be able to exhaust the gorilla.
You maybe get it tired, but then it's still strong as shit and dangerous, man. And it bites. It doesn't have like the empathy that we have.
Oh, bro.
This thing is
exactly.
And then you know what else it has? The advantage it has is the psyche, like psyching us out. Because I don't know. Well, most of us haven't been to war. I've been to war, but not even like war. I wasn't like on the front lines.
Sure.
So I don't know the sound that a human dying makes. You know what I'm saying? Like in pain with a death blow. You know what I'm saying? Or feeling like, ow, that bite crushed through my arm.
Yeah.
The scream that I can imagine the scream that I'll hear and what it'll do to me, who's supposed to fight this thing that did that to my colleague. The fear in that in itself was gonna make me pull back, and you know what I mean? And the gorilla's not having that.
No, the gorilla don't give a fuck.
The gorilla not having that type of fear that we have as humans that keep us alive. So I think, I was thinking that it's like most of us haven't been in a lot of us haven't been in a fight at all against a human,
right?
And now that fucking those squats you did in the gym yesterday, that shit ain't gonna help you when this animal with rough ass hands slaps the shit out of you, and now you're concussed. And now your partner is scared too. I don't know. That was what I was thinking of. 100 sounds good. If it's 100 that regenerates, like, oh, he died. All right, next guy, then we win. But if it's 100 and that's it, you get dropped in the cage and that's it.
Yeah, but this ain't no video game. Ain't nobody regenerating.
Exactly. I'm talking about, or you have backups ready to pop in, so it's always 100. Then you can win. You'll tire them out.
That's not fair
at all. No.
If that's true, then you got to have another gorilla on hand.
Once we get 50 more people, then we got a new gorilla. Keep them fresh. Then we're fucking done. So yeah, that was my thought on it. I'm glad you had I'm glad your kids talked you some sense into you.
Yeah, it was an evolution of thought, and I think I was making the false assumption from the get-go. I was thinking humans. Obviously, we would come up with some kind of solution. But if you really, once you start to imagine them in a cage, no weapons, just a bare.
While the fight's going, the fight is going on.
I mean, your only real chance would be in the hopes that you could tire the gorilla out, and perhaps maybe use your own shirt to sort of choke him out somehow.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can
use your shirt as a weapon. But if we're all naked, what if you have to all be naked?
So many dudes would have died by that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you would really only get one crack at it.
Yeah, exactly. And then where is vulnerable on a gorilla?
Exactly. Because what are you gonna do? Punch a gorilla in the face? Like he's gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you hit me in my ribs. I'm gonna be hurt. Like I'm gonna recoil, but you hit a gorilla, all the muscles around it, man. Good luck. Good luck with a kidney shot.
He would literally rip your arm off, and
just snatch it off. Yeah, all the little stuff like if it kicks you in the leg and your knee goes out, like all of this stuff. You'll have people limping around, bleeding around you, the screams, it bites, the claw, like this teeth, the fangs and shit. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out on that.
It's 9 times as strong as a human being, as an adult male.
Ugh. That's crazy. I want to see it, though. I want to see the 100 idiot. I want to see the 100 idiots who think, oh yeah, we got this. We're gonna fucking take this.
How far? Like this is a Black Mirror, man.
I would pay money to watch that.
I'd pay it too, and that's what I'm saying. How long until we have that TV show? Like,
I mean, it'll happen eventually. You know, the whole concept of like what's morally acceptable has just slowly deteriorated over the decades. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before.
Yeah, it depends. I think it feels like something that'll happen in Japan first.
Sure.
And then we'll adopt it once. All right, well, they did in Japan. All right. Japan has a football, so speaking of football.
What a great segue.
What's up, man? The draft happened. Are you glad about your team? Are you happy that you now have 5 new picks on your team?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. There's been a wide range of reactions to what the Falcons did over the draft. I personally walked away from it feeling like they finally did the right thing, and finally did something like kind of special. And you know, they wound up obviously. I mean, of course, I'm excited. They got my man, former Bulldog Jalen Walker.
Oh yeah, I knew you were gonna like that shit.
Why he was still sitting on the board at 15 was kind of a mystery to me. This guy was mocked as like top 5, top 10 prospect. He's like I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Micah Parsons, but he is that kind of player. He's that hybrid linebacker, edge rusher kind of guy.
Yeah. Nice Falcor.
Yeah, exactly. I think honestly, the reports were the other edge rusher they took was James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. The reports were that he was actually the one they wanted. But then when the pick came up, they were like, why is this guy still on the board? We can't not take, like, he's such a good prospect. And also, like, the entire state of Georgia would have caught fire had they passed on this guy, considering
they could have traded back, though.
They could have traded back for sure. But instead, they made a very, you know, the one thing that they're being criticized for is that they gave away a lot to trade back into the first round to get Pierce.
Yeah.
Including they gave away several things, but the thing that they're getting dinged for is the fact that they gave away next year's first round pick, which, you know, look, there's 2 problems with what they did. One is that there are actually a few character concerns with James Pierce. He had some issues in college. He was arrested for speeding. Also kind of showed some questionable judgment when dealing with the police in that situation.
What do you mean questionable judgment?
Well, he just was like kind of cocky and a little. He comes off like even his own teammates think. His own teammates think, you know, kind of accused him of being a little too full of himself.
Okay. Well,
so that pick could obviously blow up in our faces. Now, that being said, it's draft season, which means it's fucking hope season. So, you know, call me in October when we watch these 2 weapons meet at the quarterback on the regular and hit me up with your theory of how we overpaid for this fucking guy. I don't fucking care. To me, I immediately, all the bad reactions to the Falcons draft, all I could hear was Mike Tomlin saying, we do not care. Like,
exactly. I'm thinking about that too, man. It doesn't matter when it comes down to it, like when we get there. Because if you have these 2 edge rushers and they turn out to both be starters at the end of the season and impact players, then they're on rookie contracts.
Exactly.
You got that, and like you if you nail it like that, and then you got Xavier Watts at safety. Like if you got they got 2 safeties, 2 edge rushers, and then offensive tackle. That was what y'all got. If all of that, like if those top 4 picks land that you got, then you're good for years.
Exactly.
You're good for.
And I think
Morris's.
You know, they overpaid because they waited too long to address this problem. We have been for the better part of a decade, like the worst team in the NFL regarding sacking the quarterback. So yeah, they had to overextend themselves to try and solve that problem. I at least am just glad that they showed that they understand what the assignment is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the last couple of years, taking Kyle Pitts 4th overall and, some of the other things that they did, some of the other great players that they passed up on. I mean, a lot of people forget that even they took Kyle Pitts overall when Jamar Chase was still on the board. That doesn't look very good nowadays. You know what I mean? So it's like, even when you're trying to do something aggressive, you're still doing it wrong. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on, just at least go out and address the biggest problem we have, which is our defense. We had to score 30 something points just to win a fucking football game last year. And this year, hopefully we don't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could talk about my Dolphins really quick, and then we can go into the league. But I have no fucking idea.
That's the most honest answer, really.
We got 8 picks. As far as I'm looking at the draft grades according to CBS Sports, and they're grading each pick, and everything looks like it's a C and up according to them. Cool. I don't know who the players are. It looks like Miami was focused on building up the line, which is important because you got a quarterback who seems a little fragile. And if he didn't miss 6 games, then Miami might have had a playoff run. So I'm excited that they're focusing on the line. And they grabbed Quinn Ewers from Texas. And a lot of people
that's
are talking about
interesting.
that. Yeah. In the 7th
That guy,
round.
Quinn Ewers, up until about a year and a half ago, was assumed to be a first-round quarterback. But his draft stock fell significabit.
Didn't he have a scandal?
I don't know if he had a scandal.
He had some type of like NIL type of scandal or something.
Oh, maybe. But
that's weird to me that makes him drop. Like,
I don't think it was that. I think it was that, he had the unfortunate situation of having to deal with the fact that Texas brought in Arch Manning.
Okay.
Who everybody, thinks is like, going to be the next greatest quarterback of all time or whatever, because his last name is Manning.
Yeah.
And he's always been kind of an average quarterback, and it just, it is what it is. We'll see.
Is he mobile?
Not particularly.
I mean, I think they need to find somebody similar to Tua that could do the, that's accurate and a quick process. I think that's what they should focus on.
He's not a statue pocket passer, but he's also, he ain't Lamar Jackson either. So
no, I don't think he needs to be mobile. I was just curious about him. I'm just wondering if he can, because the problem is they craft this offense around Tua, and it seems like it's a very specific type of quarterback where you have to be very accurate and very quick with your decisions and all of this stuff. Hopefully this guy's like that. I don't know.
I mean, he benefited from having a lot of great receivers, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of which went in the first 2 rounds. But yeah, he's all right.
So yeah, that's how I feel about that. They gave him a B. They gave Miami a B, and then they gave according to CBS, and then they gave your Falcons. Let me see, you're all the way at the top. Falcons got a B minus. So they're not too down on us.
I'm seeing, I've looked at, there's a lot of different places where they do these draft grades, and I've seen everything from A to C minus for the Falcons. Okay. And it's mostly to do with the fact that they overpaid to move up and take Pierce.
Like you said, that stuff doesn't really, I don't focus on that at all. We'll know in 3 years anyway.
My immediate thought was the only time I've actually ever won the fantasy football championship in our league was the one year that I got a D minus on my draft. You know, when you do the draft, it's like, oh, you got a D minus on your draft. And I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Yeah. And then I win the whole thing. So fucking suck it. You people don't have any idea what you're talking about.
So suck it. Yeah, man.
I thought maybe we would just sort of go through and just talk about some of the, like, I don't know. I kind of want to start with some of my favorite things that happened in the draft. And then obviously we'll get to some of the more like kind of curious head scratching type stuff. for me, probably the most exciting thing is obviously the Jags pulling it out and showing everybody how big it is, trading up with the Browns to the number 2 pick and taking Travis Hunter. The Browns swapped places with the Jags, moving back to 5. Plus, they got a couple of draft picks. They got a second rounder, 4th rounder, and then I think they got the Jags first round pick next year, which I personally think that's pretty smart for the Browns. Like they haven't picked in the first round for what, 2-3 years because of the Deshaun Watson thing. So they need draft capital. We'll get to their draft in a little while, but the Jags, I think the Jags did it's sort of goofy. The GM said it. He was like, look, we're trying to make a statement. And I personally think that he kind of understands the assignment that he's been hired to carry out, which is you are the GM for one of the least relevant teams in the National Football League.
Yeah, let's make them relevant.
Fucking swing for the fences, bro. Like go get like this thought of to be kind of once in a lifetime talent who can play on both sides of the ball to pair with your quarterback who's supposed to be a generational talent. We'll see about that. But,
we've seen about that. We know now.
But I like I like that they did this.
Me too, man. It's good to have somebody else that can chase after inaccurate No, I'm just kidding. What's crazy is I was like, I looked it up and I went to look up the draft and see what they did and all the stuff when you mentioned them. And then I couldn't think of who their quarterback is. That's not a good sign. I was like, who is their quarterback? And I was like, yes, it's Trevor Lawrence.
I just think it's kind of fun. I think it's a big deal for the Jags to be the team that landed the shiny, the big shiny object. And obviously kind of fascinated to see how this kid's going to turn out and what they're going to do with him. One of the other more interesting moments was the Giants actually. Mm-hmm. The Giants take edge rusher Abdul Carter, thought of as the best edge rusher in the draft. They took him at number 3 as expected, but then they traded back into the back half of the first round with the Texans, and they took Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. To me, now they didn't pay as much to move back into the first round as the Falcons did. Okay. That being said, Jackson Dart is probably one of the biggest question marks at the quarterback position as far as like, can this guy play in the NFL? Okay. The knock on him is that, obviously he plays for Ole Miss. It's not an NFL offense. It's schemed up specifically, to do this kind of high flying, what do they call it? Not air raid offense, which is designed for a team to put up 60 points when they play against, Middle Tennessee State Community College, but doesn't fare too well when they play against teams like Alabama and Georgia and, stuff like that. So, yeah. And also considering the fact that they've already had this offseason where they got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in the building, and now you get this guy. I mean, in one way, I guess you could say it's smart. You don't expect Jackson Dart to play this year, clearly.
Right. Yeah, but first rounder.
But did you need – usually when you pick a quarterback in the first round, you're kind of expecting him to play. And if you're not, you take a first-round quarterback because you feel like you have a great veteran in the building who's going to teach this kid the ropes. Do you have that? Do you have 2 guys that are going to teach this guy how to become an NFL quarterback? I don't know.
I think Russell Wilson is going to be focused on Russell Wilson. It seems to be his MO. Dangerous. And like in Jameis Winston, you don't want him picking up traits from him anyway. Maybe some leadership stuff. You could pick up that. Maybe the combination of work ethic from Russell Wilson and then leadership from Jameis Winston and then Jackson Dart's skill set. Maybe this is like their Frankenstein.
Yeah.
They want him to pick it all up.
That being said, the Giants, I think, could surprise some people this year because obviously they pick up Abdul Carter. They add it to what is already a pretty good defense that they also kind of added some pieces to in free agency. I think this is going to be a very difficult team to play against on the defensive side of the ball next year. And one of the things that they did do in the draft, which I think was like really fun and very smart. I'm so curious to see if this kid's going to make it. I think he will. But at the 105 pick, they drafted this running back out of Arizona State that I told you about, Cam Scadaboo.
Yeah.
He's a real fucking football guy. Like this dude is just he's a character. He's impossible to tackle. He plays tough as nails. He might be the steal. He has the potential to be the steal of the draft. I think.
Nice.
He's a little slow. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's going to be interesting to see, what happens. The other thing that struck me is that I think the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be fun again.
Oh,
I think they're going to be the fun team this year. You got Geno, who ain't right and back, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
You got Pete Carroll in the building. He's fun.
Yep.
You got Brock Bowers. He's got all that dog in him. You
got the Tom Brady shadow.
Yeah. And they pick up what is arguably the most dynamic running back that we've seen in years in the form of Ashton Genty.
Mm-hmm.
They also
we talked about that being a good match with him being his Marshawn Lynch.
Totally. I mean, I think this team is going to be really, really fun to watch. I think they need one more wide receiver.
What about defense?
Well, they re-signed Max Crosby. I don't know what the rest of their defense really looks like,
right.
But they
porous
we'll see.
On the secondary has been porous.
Yeah, they also signed drafted a wide receiver, Jack Besh, out of TCU. He's actually a really fun player as well.
Maybe they'll run it up, man. Oh, Pete Carroll, but he's a defensive-minded coach, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So they'll be physical.
I agree. I think they're going to be a physical team. I think they're going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to be. It's been a minute since you could really take the Raiders seriously, and I think with a running back like Genty, I think even just that alone, Brock Bowers helped last year, but it's like you're not going to go anywhere with with a tight end. You know what I mean? You got to add more pieces, and I think Genty is that piece that's going to make this thing really. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm not saying they're going to win playoffs games. I'm just saying they're going to be fun. Yeah. I think they're going to be really fun.
One of the big draft headlines was the Shadeur Sanders thing. What are your thoughts on that, man? Was that your next note?
That is actually my next note.
Oh, nice.
So for those of you who don't know or didn't follow it, Shadeur Sanders, look, where people put him on their big boards and their mock drafts and all that stuff ranged anywhere from first round quarterback to like second or third round quarterback.
Yeah.
He falls out of round one, which for some people was a bit of a surprise. Yeah. And then he falls out of round 2 and 3.
The fuck is that?
Even though you had some like genuine quarterback needy teams, like the Saints and the Steelers, just passing on this guy felt kind of interesting. Eventually he's selected in the 5th round by the Browns.
What part of the 5th round? In the end? Or
in the beginning.
And then of course you have to consider the Browns, who they traded for Kenny Pickett this offseason. They picked up Joe Flacco in free agency. And then in the draft, before they took Shadeur, they took Dylan Gabriel out of Ohio State, right? In the 3rd round. And then of course Deshaun Watson technically still exists as a Browns quarterback. So your first question that you have to ask is what is the plan? Cleveland?
Do we have a long snapper? Because our roster is full of quarterbacks.
Yeah. Actually, I had 2 questions right off the bat. One was, what's the plan? And has Hard Knocks called yet? Because you know they want to watch this shit.
Yes.
So obviously the big question is, why did he fall all the way to the 5th round? There was a lot of righteous indignation from talking heads on ESPN, especially.
It was going to be talk. They were going to talk. This was a thing for them to talk about regardless. If he went top 10, they would talk about how it's the nepotism. And then now they had something. If he dropped a little bit, if he dropped to the second round, it would have been talk of, this is teams are stupid. And then they drop into the 5th round. Now they have a whole bunch to talk about, including, blackballing and collusion and racism.
Sure. Now, okay, I'm going to say that I think that part is bullshit.
Yeah,
this is really not that difficult to understand. It is unique. It's very unique.
Yes.
He is a at least second or third round quarterback who fell all the way to the 5th round. But there is a very, very good reason for why this happened. And it's something that we've never seen before. And it's really kind of more of a sign of the times thing. So first and foremost, you have to deal with the fact that, let's just be real, he's not as good as he thinks he is.
Right.
Period.
Which is the case for a lot of players.
Sure.
So it was a little humble pie. Yeah.
Leaks have suggested that his draft interviews did not go well. There are specific reports that he visited the Giants, that the Giants sent him the playbook before the interview, and when he showed up, they could tell that he hadn't even opened it.
Damn.
And then when he was challenged, like they had him go up to the whiteboard.
On page 1, it says, you will not open this.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't see it.
Apparently, they sent him up to the whiteboard and challenged him to do an offensive install based on something that was in the playbook. And when he wasn't able to do it, they sort of criticized him a little bit. And apparently, instead of being humble and honest about it, he was kind of pissy about it. There is an anonymous assistant NFL coach. I assume it's from the Giants, but there's also, honestly, there's been other teams too that have. The quote is, "It was the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames his teammates. But the biggest thing, he's not that good." That's the quote.
Well, now, that's what this is. We got to get ready for this. The next wave of, since the popularity of the NFL boomed, like the kids are growing up, and this is it's a lot more entitlement coming.
It's a little bit of combination of like this. We're in the social media age, so there's that, but then there's also the old problem of like, being, the relative of somebody famous. Let's be real for a second. You take away the last name, you close your eyes, you do this Love is Blind style. We're talking about a quarterback who played 2 years of legit college football. No disrespect to the HBCU schools, but honestly, it's like the minor leagues compared, to
the talent,
to the rest. Yeah. He transfers to the Big 12 conference, where the competition is essentially Kansas, Oklahoma State, BYU, Arizona, Cincinnati, UCF. Yeah. Year 1, he goes 4-8. Year 2, he goes 9-4 and loses a bowl game. He's 6'1", 212 pounds, doesn't have a very strong arm. He skips the combine, right?
That too. Yeah.
A quarterback with a third. He also skipped the Senior Bowl. Didn't play in that. Third, fourth round grade. Chooses not to prove himself and acts like he's a first round pick, right?
And then the media jumped on it and said he was like the second or third best quarterback in the draft. And then they put those expectations out there and then act shocked when he's not picked by these pros that scout and evaluate.
Yes. And honestly,
created a narrative and then they play on the narrative.
If you take away the fact that this man is related to Deion Sanders, nobody's asking how he fell out of the third round, period.
Right.
They're just not. And the other problem here, this was kind of the thing I didn't really think about much in the moment, because I remember in that, like I think it was in the third round when they took Dylan Gabriel. That was the first time it hit me. I was like, oh shit, this motherfucker might actually go undrafted. I actually thought Shadeur was going to go undrafted.
Damn.
Because it started to occur to me, now, what's the most important part because at that point, once he falls out of the third round, you're a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
What's the most important part the most important element that you're looking for in your backup quarterback.
That they don't want to be a starter.
Anonymity. The last thing you want as a franchise is for everybody in the stands.
Yeah.
But you don't
calling
even
for him. Yeah.
You don't even want your fans to know the name of your backup quarterback.
You want it to be a has been or never will be.
And this guy comes with not just name recognition, but he comes with his own podcast. He comes with his own YouTube channel. He comes with his own social media team that follows him around 24 hours a day.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, you do not want this. This is not what you want in your backup quarterback. And I think that moment where he falls out of the third round is the moment that all 32 NFL teams are like, yeah, I don't need that because you essentially are in a situation where every GM and every coach realizes that if I take this kid, it's going to be a story. And there's even suggestions. I don't know if this is true, but a lot of people seem to think that, you know, the GM from the Browns, what's his name? Andrew Berry was not, he got a call from the owner, Jimmy Haslam, and said, pick this fucking kid. Because a lot of owners are even saying now, like, we just, before the draft even started, we called our GMs and said, take Shadeur Sanders' name off the board. We don't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
They just not going to want that.
I was thinking another angle that you haven't brought up here, and I think we've discussed it privately, is also putting yourself in the crosshairs as a coach if this kid's on your team and Deion Sanders is white hot as a coach on the coaching scene, and they're looking to make some changes, and you got Shadeur on your team. That could be luring Deion to be your replacement. So you could be putting your own job in jeopardy by bringing this guy on. And a lot of times when the coach goes, that GM goes too.
I hate to say this, but I would actually blame, if I'm looking for someone to blame in all of this, I think I have to blame Deion Sanders the most.
And the legacy of Deion Sanders, not even just the person, but he didn't help it at all. But then just the existence of it, and then talking like, I want to coach my son and all of this stuff he said. Like, you did. You got to coach your son. You coached him.
Saying for the past year and a half that he was going to pull an Eli Manning if a team that he didn't want his kid to go to, all that kind of stuff. You know, these GMs and owners don't forget that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that Deion, basically, he's been Shadeur's coach ever since he was in high school, right? And also the other part of this, which I think is kind of interesting, this is in some ways the best case scenario for Shadeur Sanders.
Yes.
A kid who has never had to compete for his job is now in a situation where he is QB4. If you are a first round talent, well, that shouldn't be that difficult for you to prove.
Yeah, man.
If you are as good as you think you are, if you are as dedicated to learn the playbook, do the work, put your head down and go through a wall for this team, then we have no problem here.
How did he respond? Because he seemed like he had a good, he ate his humble pie and then he came out ready to go, right? Didn't it seem like that?
He did. He responded in the way that you would hope that he would. Yeah. He didn't seem sour or bitter or anything. I think he had the proper response considering the situation.
Yeah. If he becomes a star, I got a question for you. If he becomes a star, hold on a second. I gotta do this SveNFL style. where we get you geared up for this thing. All right, now, question for you. I'm tempted to ask you, how is it Mike Shanahan's fault? I mean, Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, no. But my question is, how many quarterbacks, like say Shadeur Sanders becomes a star, right? How many quarterbacks will be on his list? Like, how likely is it that he has a list of quarterbacks that went before him that he's going after to show? What do you think? Is he that type of player, or does he just say, that didn't bother me?
No, bro, he's going to have a list. He will have a list.
He's never gonna have a list.
He will 100% have a list. What's
Jackson
more likely
Dart.
is that he's going to wind up on that that Browns fan who has like, he's got that jersey that has like all the shit quarterbacks they've had for the last one. My guess is that he's more likely to wind up on that list.
Speaking of lists.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. But I wish him the best. I hope it works out for him. But,
sure.
He created an uphill, and now he's got to climb it.
He did. He and his father did this to themselves. And I don't think anybody, I'll be honest with you, I didn't, the social media aspect of this makes perfect sense to me why he fell so far. But I don't think a lot of draft analysts really considered that as a factor in his ability to fall as far as he did. What was it? Mel Kiper from ESPN looked like he was about to have a brain aneurysm because he had Shadeur ranked higher than Cam Ward.
What?
On his board. And so he just had an absolute fucking conniption fit post draft and that. So, and I was just like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
he never gets held accountable. Speaking of Mel Kiper, nobody's like, "Hey, man, you were wrong as shit."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody pointed that out too. They pulled up the receipts of all the guys that he claimed are going to be the best. This guy's going to be the best quarterback in the NFL this year, and it's like no one's ever heard of the guy. He's dead. You know what I mean? Speaking of quarterbacks who went before him. Tyler Shuck goes to the Saints.
Is his middle name All?
His middle name is spelled weird. It's like Shough. So it's like, is his name Tyler Show or Show?
Oh, no, this last name.
But it's pronounced Shuck. Okay. Apparently. He's like a 7 or 8 year college quarterback. I think it's hilarious that the Saints drafted this guy. He spent 7 or 8 years in college, mostly because he's just had so many injuries. And funnily enough, his draft comp was Derek Carr. So replacing Derek Carr. I was like, that's fucking hilarious.
Didn't they think, wasn't that where they thought Shadeur would land? The Saints?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people had him going to the Saints.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe out of Alabama went to the Seahawks. I think this is actually a pretty smart move by them. A lot of people are high on the Seahawks draft this year.
Man, I think McDonald is going to be a problem, man. He's going to turn that team around.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was kind of funny that the Packers finally took a wide receiver in the first round for the first time in forever?
Yes. Yeah, they considered. I see on some of these lists they have Jordan Love as a winner of the draft. The team finally gets a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I bet Aaron Rodgers is like, man, fuck y'all.
He's a very good receiver, Matthew Golden out of Texas. But the problem is that I don't know. We'll see. The thing that the Packers need, obviously, is a number one wide receiver. But it might turn out that they've just added to their collection of twos. You know what I mean? It's like they've got a whole bunch of young wide receivers who wouldn't be the guy on any team, and
right.
So that may or may not have solved their problems. The other interesting story is obviously the Steelers and the Aaron Rodgers situation. A lot of people have interpreted the fact that they took Ohio State quarterback Will Howard in the 6th round virtually guarantees that Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Steelers next year.
What if he doesn't want to play?
There's always that possibility.
Like, why would they even? It doesn't make any sense, man. I don't know what they're doing over there, man.
I really do think that it's either going to be Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins. They're going to be playing for the Steelers next year.
Oh, yeah, good point.
That'll be the last time that I address it.
Actually, one of my favorite things that happened this year in the draft, obviously, we haven't even talked about Cam Ward. Cam Ward goes first overall to the Titans, as predicted. Here's another reason why Shadeur dropped, in my opinion. When you compare Cam Ward to Shadeur Sanders, you talk about a kid who, I love this analogy, even though I hate baseball, but it's like this kid who has an attitude like he's born on third base and he thinks he hit a triple. You know what I mean? To me, that makes a lot of sense. Cam Ward is the complete opposite of that. he's a 0-star recruit who nobody wanted out of high school. Plays for a college that no one's ever heard of, Incarnate Word. First time anyone's ever heard of this place is because of Cam Ward. Transfers to, where did he go? Was it Arizona or Washington? Maybe Washington.
Somewhere out west.
And then eventually winds up with the U. And then what does he do when he's at the U? He throws the most touchdown passes of any college quarterback in the history of college football. So it's like,
it don't get no better than that, baby.
But my favorite thing that the Titans did is that after everything they did in the draft, when it was all over, what do they do to make their guy their number 1 overall draft pick? What's the one thing they can do to make this guy feel better? Hey, you know what? Let's go get him his favorite target from the U. They pick up Xavier Restrepo, who went undrafted. I think this is might actually be one of the smartest moves in the draft this year.
I don't know how he went undrafted, man.
I don't either.
To break records at Miami with all of those receivers that went there, with Michael Irving and Andre Johnson and fucking Galloway and not Galloway. I think he went.
I heard that one of the reasons why he went undrafted, he apparently he did terrible in the 40. Like he was like super slow in the 40-yard.
We've seen him on the field, man.
But it's like, can you catch footballs and score touchdowns? This guy scored
what did Wes Welker do on the 40?
That's actually kind of who they compare him to. They compare him to
he's a Wes Welker. It's like, come on, man. You got a slot receiver, Welker, Cooper Kupp, all of these guys like that. I would say Lockett, but maybe Lockett's a little more explosive. But you know what I mean? Those slot receivers that find space, read defenses. It's dope, man. Javon Landry.
I think the other team, I think the Chicago Bears probably just in general, if you consider the offseason as well as the draft, I think they probably had the best
that's what I'm
situation. Like they land Ben Johnson as a head coach. They immediately rebuild the offensive line in free agency. And in the draft, they land
Loveland.
Two of the best pass catchers in the draft. They get Luther Burden III out of Missouri and
what a name,
Colton Loveland out of Michigan. Luther Burden III. How about that?
That's a dope ass name, Luther Burden III.
That's pimp as shit right there. You know that motherfucker's driving a Cadillac.
And then the fact that Luther Vandross was burdened with the fact that he was a closeted homosexual. It all comes together, man.
See?
It's Luther's burden. It's the third burden.
I find it very interesting that most people are sort of painting the narrative of this situation as like, okay, Bears had the best offseason. Now Caleb Williams has no more excuses. So we'll see. I think that's kind of unfair. We'll see.
He's also got a new offense to learn and different shit. Come on, man.
We still need to see if Ben Johnson can be a good head coach. That's not a given. People are acting like that. People are acting like that's that's just a fact, and maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. We don't fucking know.
I think he's gonna be. He's a good offensive. We all know he's a good offensive coach. So at the very least, that offense is gonna work. But we'll see if he can get the whole team to play right.
Fun but meaningless bit of trivia for anyone if this ever comes up. Trivia night. The Bucks signed an undrafted free agent, Desmond Watson, who I'm pretty sure is now the largest human person to ever play in the National Football League.
Okay. What position?
Defensive tackle, of course.
It could have been an offensive guard.
He is 6'5", 464 pounds.
Oh my God.
Desmond Watson. He is huge. He played for the Florida Gators. He is... I know why he went undrafted, because he's useless as fuck.
You got to play 3-4.
There's some great cut-ups of my guy, Jalen Walker, former Bulldog, current Falcon. Ugh, I mean, you can see my boner from space. Just absolutely dusting this giant blob of a human off of the edge, because it's like, of course I'm going to beat this guy. He's fucking 464 pounds. Just run around him. He doesn't even touch him. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny.
He's like the sloth on Zootopia.
And then, as far as biggest loser in the draft, I'm gonna nominate. What's his name? Jax Ulbrich,
Okay.
the son of Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich.
Jeff Ulbrich,
who was forced to apologize because apparently he was instrumental in a prank call to Shadeur Sanders.
Oh, wow.
During the draft, that they were dumb. He and his college buddies were dumb enough to actually film this, or maybe it was being filmed because of Shadeur. He apparently got into his father's iPad because, these draft prospects, they get these burner phones. Nobody's supposed to have the number except for the GMs and the teams. And this kid, 21-year-old Jax Ulbrich, went into his father's iPad, got the number for Shadeur Sanders, and pulled this prank and pretended to be Mickey Loomis from the Saints, saying, "Oh, we're getting ready to pick you," like in the 3rd round or something. And then was like, "Oh, just kidding," and then they hung up on him. It's like, what a fucking what? This is like.
Does he know him? He doesn't know him at all either.
No, he knows nothing about this guy.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
A complete piece of shit. And apparently I didn't realize this, and I don't think we would have known about it had this story not happened, but he was not the only player that this happened to. Apparently this happened to a few other players. And I'm assuming I don't know if it all leads back to Jax Ulbrich. I'm not really sure, but of course, because he got caught, he comes out and he apologizes. "Oh, my behavior was inexcusable."
Did he get drafted?
Who?
Ulbrich. Or was he up for the...
No, he's not. He's not even a football player. He's just a fucking douchebag college kid. Like, he's literally just the son of Jeff Ulbrich.
Damn.
Period.
Did Jeff say anything? "I'm ashamed of my child."
I will kill him.
I will kill him when I get... He looked like he'll kill somebody. Damn. That's
Isn't that gross?
Stupid. Yeah, it's disgusting, man.
That's fucking gross, I think.
Well, they have the winners and losers here.
Yeah, talk to me about winners and losers.
Some stuff they said, like people agree with. On CBS, they agree with you about James Gladstone and the Giants. I mentioned Jordan Love earlier, and then Aaron Rodgers is somehow considered a winner because you can't have any football conversation without talking about Aaron Rodgers for the next year and a half or so. Howie Roseman, I forgot to mention. I listened to something that they were talking about Howie Roseman and how this dude is fucking wheeling and dealing, and is just reloading. Loves to get players that are known, like nationally known players from big programs. None of that find a guy under a rock like Bill Belichick. No, this fucking guy's good. He played in the SEC. I'm taking him, and it seems like they're doing that. Moving around.
Yeah, they took that linebacker out of Alabama in the 1st round, Jihad Campbell.
Yeah,
that guy's a beast.
Yeah, so they're making moves, and then some of the losers they have here is Shadeur Sanders, which was like fabricated, the whole thing, I think, but they built him up according to themselves, and then they make him a loser because according to their shit. And then the Falcons front office is looked at as a loser. Saints quarterback situation, Browns fans might be a loser they have to, and Green Bay.
Again,
they got the
call me in October when these two units are fucking meeting at the quarterback. Like, honestly, this is actually my least, and I get it. Look, there's two schools of thought. You've got, the one that annoys me the most are these kind of analytics heavy, like they look at football from this dual perspective, which I can appreciate to a certain degree. But for them, it's all about like, yeah, sure, fine, he's a good player, but did you get good value? And it's like, bitch, I don't give a fuck. Like,
I want victories.
Sometimes I buy shit that I can't afford because I know it makes me look dope as fuck. Don't come at me for that. You know
I
mean?
like that.
Yeah, this shirt cost me 1,000 crowns, but it's like, fuck you, I look good in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did this change your perspective on any players? I mean, any teams when it comes to our big bet that we make every year about the divisions? Because it's starting to come into play. We're gonna have our final, like our mini camp and all of that stuff that comes up. But eventually we're going to have to decide what teams we think are going to win the divisions. Did any team move up or down for you after the draft?
I would say yes. I would say the teams that, if I look at the divisions quickly, I would say, despite the fact the Bills are not getting very good draft grades, but I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
They still scored 35 points a game in almost every game last year. I still think they're going to win that division. The Ravens. We didn't talk about that. Yeah. Ravens. The Ravens did something very funny or curious or gross, depending on how you look at it. I mean, first of all, they're a team that's not known for, they don't have a very good track record with dealing with problematic players and off-field situations and whatnot. You got the whole Justin Tucker thing hanging over the team, a la Deshaun Watson out here fucking, being a predator with massage therapist.
Yeah. Let's add to predators.
Yeah, and now they just said, well, shit, maybe Justin Tucker's not on the team anymore. We need a new predator, so they draft Mike Green out of Marshall, who, to be fair, whatever. The story on Mike Green is this. He was accused of sexual assault in high school. He was accused of sexual assault when he was at the University of Virginia. He was never charged in either one of those cases, but apparently it got so bad that he had to transfer from Virginia to Marshall. As far as I know, he wasn't accused of sexual assault at Marshall. But anyway, you got this dark cloud hanging over this guy's head. And of all teams, he goes to the Ravens. And the Ravens, of course, were asked about it. And they said, well, we did an extensive investigation into Mike Green's background, and we felt comfortable taking him in the second round. It's like, that could also mean we did an extensive investigation and realized that nobody can prove that he did what he did. So that's why we felt comfortable. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit of an ick. And it's a team that has a track record for that. We didn't know. And it's like, oh, wow, there was videotape. How could you not know? Oh, yeah, I guess we did know.
Yep.
And I still don't believe you're telling me that Justin Tucker, this case of him assaulting massage therapists is like from
16.
his rookie. It's from like when he first came into the league. Are you telling me that no one called you? You have no knowledge. This is the first time you've heard of this? Like, I don't buy that for a second. So I don't know, but the Ravens are the Ravens. As far as the football is concerned, I don't think there's any of these teams. None of these teams got good enough to beat the Ravens in the AFC North. AFC South is where it gets a little interesting for me. I think the Colts had a really good draft. I really like that they picked up Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. I think this team is going to be hard to play against next year. I don't think the Titans are ready yet. And I am starting to lose faith in the Texans. I actually think the Jaguars. I'm feeling the Jags for this division right now. We'll see. I could change my mind.
I think the Colts win. I think the Texans will win because the coach quarterback combo that we focus on.
Sure.
I think Stroud's the best quarterback, and the best coach I think is DeMeco Ryans right now, and I think second best team is the Colts in that division.
The thing that gives me the ick about the Texans is that, 2 years ago, Stroud wins Rookie of the Year. The next year, the offense struggles a little bit, and they fire the offensive coordinator. The same offensive coordinator who helped him win Rookie of the Year gets a 2-year leash, and he's out the building. And it's like, to me, that shows a little, as much as I'd like DeMeco Ryans, it shows a little bit of panic. And that kind of freaks me out a little bit. AFC West, I really, really like what all three of the teams that are, obviously this is 3 teams trying to figure out a way to knock the Chiefs off of the top of the mountain. I really like what all 3 of these teams did in the draft. They all made really, really smart picks. The Chargers leaned into their identity and took one of the best running backs in the first round. Broncos did something similar. I think all 3 of those teams that are trying to come for the Chiefs got much, much better. And also I think the weakness that the Chiefs showed in the Super Bowl, that the Eagles exposed them as like, this is how you beat them.
No, how you beat them is have a fantastic roster.
Yeah, exactly.
Be able to get there with your front four. Not every team could do that. Not every team even runs a front four.
Howie Roseman's like, this is not hard. Just start collecting Georgia Bulldogs. Really not complicated.
I'm trying to tell you.
He even picked up another one this year in the draft. He picked up the safety Smile Munden. I'm just like, this guy is like in love with Bulldogs. He loves it. Let's see. People are saying the Cowboys had a good draft, but I still feel like they didn't really address their running back situation. Yeah. I think they'll be better. I think the Giants got a lot better. Eagles are still going to win that division. That's going to be a pretty good division, I think. I think the NFC North is going to be a little tricky too. Yep. The Lions may have missed their best chance to go to the Super Bowl last year. Yep. I'm a little worried about them. And then somebody knows all their secrets over there. Their offensive coordinator is now in Chicago as the head coach. Yeah, yeah. Am I even qualified to talk about the NFC South? Of course, I think the Falcons are going to win this division. Come on, man. The best player in football is in that division, man. Shout out to Baker. I really don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, I think the Bucs are going to win that division, though. I didn't say the Dolphins are going to win. I'm not. I'm done. I'm done. Well, because it's obvious that the Dolphins are not going to win. Oh, you think it's? I think it's obvious the Bucs are going to win that division. Yeah, and then as far as the NFC West is concerned, as much as we like what the Rams do, you got to remember. They won this division on a tiebreaker last year. This was a very tight division. You had the Rams had 10 wins. The Seahawks had 10 wins. The Cardinals had 8. 49ers had 6. The 49ers are going to probably have a bounce back season. I don't. Yeah. This one might actually be the toughest to call, in my opinion. Yeah, I wonder who they're going to blame if they have a bad season. I don't know. Is Kyle he's going to run out of scapegoats? If they finish 6-11 like they did last year or worse, yeah, he might be gone. Hot seat. His they say his favorite animal is the scapegoat. Who wins in a fight, Kyle Shanahan or 100 scapegoats? Or 100 scapegoats. They said the craze right now for people's birthday parties are going to these escape rooms, and he goes to scapegoat to it's Kyle Scapegoat Shanahan. Yeah. All right, man. Well, he's got Mac Jones in the building, so he should be fine. Oh shit! I didn't even realize that. I thought we had some issues, man. Oh my God! Oh my God! They brought him back. The Mac is back. They need to have a return of the what was his name that they traded up for, and they get no flack for it. Lance. Oh yeah, Trey Lance. They just got it's just like, but I mean, credit for them on turning the page instead of trying to double down. He got traded somewhere. Where did he go? Did he go to the
I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
Yeah, he's the backup quarterback for the Chargers now. Oh, shit. Wouldn't that be funny if Justin Herbert gets hurt and then he beats 49ers? That'd be fun. Oof. I don't know if they play each other. They don't play. Yeah, they probably don't. But it's AFC West. Yeah, he'll Trey Lance, he'll turn around and hand the ball off. That's the hardball way. He said, yeah, we'll take him. Turn around and hand the ball off. Yep, that's the big thing we have to look forward to next. Let's see the schedule release in about 2 weeks ish. They never usually say exactly when it is, but yeah, May 14th it says here around there. Oh, nice. Well, we could come back then when we look at the schedule and see what's going on, and we sort of plot our way to the Falcons winning 14 games. That'll be fun. Let's do that. I love it. It's the time for optimism, man. Don't miss out. Yeah, that's about it, man. That's another one in the books, man. Thanks for going through the draft and reading 2026 mock drafts for me. I love it.
Love a nice mock draft. I'm gonna go work out, man. I got to train. I signed up to fight a gorilla.
Nice.
So it's me and 99 other idiots.
Right after you had knee surgery, you signed up to fight a gorilla. That's good.
I feel like if they put titanium in there, then I'll really go for it.
Ooh, the knee replacement would be a game changer.
Yeah. I'll be like, I'll get some spring in there. I'll ask them for like another inch of height so I could be a 6-footer officially. Yeah. Help me out, guys. Hit me, please. I think the scream, like, and bite somebody, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. I don't
I'm
even,
out.
yeah. Just put me ringside and I'll commentate.
Oh, he killed another one. And another one. He was brave and he's gone. All right, thank y'all for checking it out. We're going to be back. It's the off season, but we'll be back as much as we can, so stay tuned. This has been Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, Sarah.
With your favorite football podcast, SveNFL. Peace.
Later, y'all.